One of our vice presidents, Dr. Elaine Villanueva Bernal, and then our secretary, Ann Sullivan, our treasurer right here, Mark Cross, and Nada Tushnet. What's that? Oh, doctor. Dr. Nada Tushnet, she's our membership chair. And I want to hand the mic over right now to Chief Luna. He's our endorsed candidate for LA County Sheriff.
Thank you, Chris. First of all, it's very nice to be out here in public, getting some fresh air, seeing all of you face to face. I've seen many of you virtually, and although that's been good, there's nothing that beats being out here in front of you. I also want to give each and every one of you a very big, sincere thank you for endorsing me. I am your candidate. I'm very proud to be your candidate, and more importantly, I'm going to make you proud that I'm your candidate. We have a sheriff right now that, in my opinion, is not working for any of us. I spent 36 years of my career working here at the Long Beach Police Department. And I got to tell you, I am very proud of where I'm at. And as I go through this entire county, what I'm seeing is that Long Beach is on the map. You'd be surprised how many policies or strategies I talk about, and people said, "You guys were doing that in Long Beach?" Absolutely we were, and we are doing it really well. So just please know this, and I'll turn it over back to Chris. There's 3 factors that set me apart from the other candidates running. Number 1, I'm the only candidate in this race for sheriff who comes from outside the sheriff's department. That means I've never worked there, and I don't work there now. And the department does need to be modernized and reformed, and I believe somebody from the outside is best suited to do that. Number 2, I'm also the only candidate who actually has experience as a large municipal police chief. I was your police chief here in Long Beach for the last 7 years, where we transformed policy, training, and accountability. We did so many great things here. And then number 3, I'm also the only candidate that has a national and regional leadership profile. I was elected and re-elected to the Major City Chiefs Association, where I work nationally on issues such as police reform, legislation, homelessness, crime, and so on and so forth. And that's what I expect to bring to the entire county of Los Angeles. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for being here tonight. Your civic engagement means everything. And I'm telling you right now, every race is very important. This sheriff's race, and I'm talking to some of you, is, I believe, the most important sheriff's race we've ever had in the history of the county of Los Angeles. So thank you for being engaged in it. I'm going to be around to answer any questions that any of you may have. And again, go Long Beach. I am so proud to be here and be part of this family, no matter what happens forever. Chris, thank you very much for what you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. One thing we do at Yes We Can Democratic Club is not only say give monetary contributions, we are activists. We actually make buttons like you can see on my shoulder right here for our candidates. We have them union printed. We distribute them to the candidates as well as throughout the region via LA County. We table at farmers markets. We're really an active club with folks who really are making a change through activism and through dollars. So as an endorsed candidate, we will be doing that for Chief Luna. Is there anything from the floor relative to that?
Yeah, I move that we donate $100 to Chief Luna's campaign.
I second it.
Second.
And all the buttons he can get.
And all the buttons. And that's one thing. The buttons are like these right here. We purchase all the material, and we have them at our clubhouse, which is Chris Robeson's home. And we have button making margarita parties. Fun time. We have a good time doing our activism. So is there a second out on the floor?
Second.
A second from our treasurer, first with Ann. And then Ann, are you taking the notes, secretary?
I was going to watch the video.
Oh, I guess Ann is right. We can just watch the video and it's all out there. So I have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Abstentions? Looks like you just got $100 from Yes We Can, as well as, like I said, all those other mediums that we go out there and perform for our candidates. Now I'd like to initiate. This evening we're in person for the California 69th Assembly Forum, and we have 2 candidates this evening. And I'd like to introduce first Janet Foster.
Okay.
Come on in. Come on down.
I was gonna give.
And we're going to have the candidates sit right over here.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm handing.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And then Josh Lowenthal. Go ahead and take your seats. And there are mics up here for both y'all.
I'm making some water and what card to use. No worries. No worries.
Okay, the way we're going to format this is we're going to give each candidate 3 minutes to open up, and we are recording this. And as I mentioned to all the candidates and the other folks here, you know, hopefully you're comfortable with it. If you're not, tough for doing it. And we're going to broadcast that to all of our club members, including our email list that we've generated over the years, which is about 3,000 plus people. So this is going to go out to many, many folks. So we're going to, as I mentioned, we're going to each candidate speak for 3 minutes. You're going to be asked the same question, and then you will have 2 minutes to respond to that question. And if either candidate brings up, say, the other candidate in their response to a question, we'll allow that candidate that was mentioned 1 minute to respond if they were mentioned. And then we're going to close with 3 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and begin the debate. And as I stated, each candidate will be asked the same question.
Just
Okay,
so
well,
you know, when you hit 30 seconds,
Oh,
I'll raise my hand.
thank you, Madam
30 seconds
Secretary.
left.
30 seconds, yeah. You can see me. I'm right here.
Okay, so
Is this on?
Janet,
Now it's on.
okay, there it is.
Everybody can hear me? Yep. Okay.
Good. Okay, Janet, go ahead. You have 3 minutes for opening remarks.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Janet Foster, and okay.
Need to turn it up a
Believe it or
little.
not, this is a
There it is.
deja vu moment for me right now with this microphone. I competed at Miss Florida. I competed in the Miss America program, and my microphone didn't work then, so I'm having a flashback. Okay.
Hold it like you're drinking a beer.
This is so much better, and I can hear myself too. My name's Janet Foster, and I moved to California in 1987 from Miami, and I've lived in Long Beach for over 18 years. And one of the things that I love about this community is that it was something that I felt at home when I immediately got here. And for the last few years, that home feeling that attracted me to the community is something that's sort of been waning, and I've been a little concerned about things, and I think we all have. We're looking in, we're in the second, almost going into the third year of a pandemic. We have a lot of our neighbors. They're not doing well, although we're fortunate to be here tonight, and there's change that needs to happen. So part of that is the reason why I'm running for the Assembly. This is my first run for the Assembly, but I am not new to politics. I'm a veteran for over 35 years, actually. If you include my college time, I interned on Capitol Hill for 2 iconic senators, as I call, Bob Graham and Lawton Childs, both former governors of Florida. So I've been raised, the way we say in the South, I've been raised right in Democratic politics. And just for the record, I've been a Democrat since I was 18 years old. I voted for Fritz. Literally. It's been a love affair for me. And what I want to do in representing the 69th District is move us into a new era, and that is helping our economy, so that it's sustainable for the future, where it includes more of our neighbors and more of our young people. Because right now, we've had decades here in California where we didn't invest enough in education, and also we didn't invest enough in our young people. And, I'm the daughter of a truck driver, daughter of a nurse turned reading teacher. And I want to be able to, when I smile about when people ask me about my time in college, I want other people to be able to do that, especially our young people right now. And a lot of people aren't able to do that. So I look forward to meeting you and hearing your questions and responding. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Josh?
Yeah, I think Mondale lost in the state of California. That's how much things have changed, as a matter of fact, since 1984, if you can believe it, right? Really something. Reagan took that. My name is Josh Lowenthal. It's a pleasure to be here. I am born and raised in this community. Went to public schools here. I went to Willard Elementary and Signal Hill Elementary. I went to Jefferson. I went to Long Beach Poly. I went to college in the East Coast at Cornell, and then I came back to Long Beach and I was a school teacher here. Raised my family here, actually a stone's throw away from here, over in Carroll Park, as a matter of fact. And I come from a family of activists, many of whom you know, I assume that you know, and disruptors. Before becoming prominent elected officials, there were activists in this community. It was nice speaking to Nada a little while ago and talking about Labachi, and it conjured up memories of Sid Solomon being in my living room, and Nada, and Sharon Cottrell, and others, Sharon's house right here, half a block down the street. My parents took on the machine. My dad walked in this community and beat a 16-year incumbent to get into council. When he went to the assembly, he took on the port interest to protect the people who lived in this community and so forth. And I learned from that activism. I took that activism when I went off to college, and I fought for the boycott of California table grapes at Cornell University, which we won. We fought for the divestment of any university holdings and businesses that were in South Africa, at that time the apartheid regime, which we also won, and got involved in student government there and saw what activism does, the changes that you can make in improving people's quality of life. And disruption has been something that I've taken with me throughout. Coming here in this community, fighting for the rights of homelessness, got to know Chris, as a matter of fact. I've been the past president of Children Today, that provides no-cost childcare for families experiencing homelessness here in this community. And professionally, I've been the president of FreeConferenceCall.com, which is taking on big telecom and big tech in every which way on behalf of the consumer. And this is the second time I've run for assembly. The first time, Big Oil and CCPOA, the correctional officers, spent almost $2 million against me. With very good reason. They knew that I would be against them. I'm thrilled to have this opportunity and very proud to have the endorsement of the California Teachers Association, California Faculty Association, Senator Lena Gonzalez, Equality California, and so forth. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Okay, let's go back to Janet for the first question. What in your background, both in your public or private professions, makes you most qualified to be California Assembly member?
Thank you for that question. In my professional life, I am in healthcare. I have a 32-year career that I've amassed in healthcare, from everything from being a compliance officer to actually being an executive running an ER department, being the administrative leader for an ER department, and also working with health plans. And I've negotiated contracts with the largest health systems throughout the United States. So in terms of California being landmark with passing cow care, I'm the most qualified person in this race that can not only address the need for CalCare, but also address the industry practices. A lot of those practices are tied to for-profit, and I can have those conversations to help start turning our healthcare system that we're going to need when we pass CalCare, because that's one of the things that I will do is bring it back for discussion. And as a private citizen, and particularly for the last 3.5 years here in Long Beach, I've been a housing activist, and I'm the accidental housing activist because a lot of things that I started noticing on Ocean Boulevard, not just with regard to homelessness, but development, particularly with the retirement facility where we have a lot of seniors. Everybody knows about what happened on Ocean Boulevard where seniors were evicted from their retirement facility. And we have a lot of buildings that are up, their leases are up, and people are just being turned away. So that's how I got involved with YIMBY 3.5 years ago, taking on and lobbying up in Sacramento, as well as being a part of a network of housing activists.
Thank you, Janet. Josh?
Yeah, excellent question. And first, let me just say that I really, truly appreciate all the work that Janet has done, and find that to be incredibly relevant to being a member of the Assembly. I would say that the breadth of my experiences also qualify me to be an effective member of the Assembly. First of all, my time in the classroom in public education. Education comprises 60% of the budget of the state of California. And to really understand the need for investing in public education and how the system functions, being in the classroom and knowing things from both sides is truly valuable experience. Secondly, what makes me qualified is my activism in public policy and the delivery of public services, as I mentioned before in my opening. Specifically been working in the delivery of homeless services and early childhood education for families experiencing homelessness here in Long Beach. I've also, as I noted before, run for Assembly in the past, and through that process, learned so much about, how the sausage is made, and find that the breadth of all these things. Of course, also my experience as business executive and a small business owner, and the challenges here in this community, the challenges of being a small business owner in this town, and working your way through compliance and the regulatory regime, give me a unique perspective on what we need to do to grow our economy in a compassionate way. So, yeah.
Thank you, Josh. Go back to the second question to Janet. 8069 now includes Carson, which has had a recent environmental disasters, including hydrogen sulfide event in the Dominguez Channel, and ongoing issues with the Carousel Tract housing development and the Phillips 66 refinery, where nearby residents have increased cancer risk and excess death compared with the rest of the state. What is your platform on environmental justice and working with constituents on issues?
Yes, I'm very familiar with those issues. Being in healthcare, we talk about a lot of communities here in Southern California and in California in general that are at risk of what we call environmental risk in the healthcare industry. One of the things that I like to do is start with a formal exit program from fossil fuels. It has to be done. It's the obvious thing, but it needs to be said. And a part of that I'd like to do is start 2030 and start in communities at risk, where we look at practices of a lot of these refineries and look at how we can do abatement for the air quality. But also in that district, in our district, and in that particular area, we need to look at land use because there's always been the issue of social justice and environmental justice, but it's always been in certain areas, and it's been consistent with certain populations, and we've got to start getting out of denial of that. And with land use, I think start looking at land use and then the abatement and then start closing down. We literally need to start closing down refineries. And the best way to do it is to build the green economy so that it outnumbers what's happening in fossil fuel, so that we can start transitioning, and that way we'll be able to get a handle on this. And then I think with healthcare, you'll be able to, particularly with CalCare, I think that will help, because what's starting to happen a lot here in California with health plans now, where people live in certain zip codes, they're actually starting to not write policies, and they're charging employers too much.
Thank you, Janet. Josh?
Yeah, I would echo many of the things that Janet put forth. Look, there is actually, in my estimation, not one single issue bigger and more important for the residents of the 69th Assembly District, period. End of story. People died in this district during COVID because of where they lived. That's unconscionable. The number one job of government is to protect its citizens under any circumstances, and we failed to do that. And so we have to take everything in our arsenal, as a matter of fact, in order to rectify that immediately. And that would mean a carrot and stick approach. As Janet had mentioned, we need to accelerate the addiction and reliance on the fossil fuel industry. And we do that, like I said, with a stick approach, but a carrot approach in terms of accelerating alternative energies and alternative jobs. One of the ways that we need to do that is make sure that the jobs in the green economy pay to the same level that you have of the refineries. One of the biggest problems that we have with these refineries is that our local economy is reliant upon those jobs, and you take those away tomorrow, it's really going to pull the rug out from the macroeconomy. So we have to be sensitive about how we do that, but aggressive all at the same time. Does that mean offshore wind, that we take on that as soon as we can? Yes, that is what it means. We do that right away, and we do that, conscientiously. So, yeah. Thank you.
Good. 20 more seconds.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was the end.
No, that's 30 seconds, and I'll shout.
Okay, we're going to stay with Josh on this one. Did you support AB 1400, guaranteed health care for all? What variables do you associate with its failure? What type of legislation would you support that provides health care for all Californians? Would it include all medications, including biologics?
This is me. Biologics. Do you know what biologics are? Just so they treat autoimmune diseases, and they are off the charts expensive, even with Medicare and health insurance. So just so you know, I can tell you my story, but that's all.
Yeah, so first part of the question is, did you support AB 1400?
Yes, and unequivocally support single-payer system in this state. We have to do it. We have to lead the country in it, as a matter of fact, and push the way forward for the rest of the country to follow suit. We're the 5th largest economy in the world, larger than the UK, larger than France. There is no industrialized nation out there as advanced as we are that doesn't take care of its citizenry in the same way. Unequivocally, and yes to all the things you mentioned, Chris. I don't think I need to say much more.
Yeah, thank you. Janet?
Yes, I supported it, and I am deeply disappointed that it not only did it pass, but that there were kind of reasons why some people didn't vote for it. It just wasn't good enough. I definitely will. I want to be one of the people to actually bring it back to a vote and push it, including biologics. I also want to include mental health services and make it comprehensive, because the industry, the healthcare industry as a whole, has started to realize that the physiological health and mental health are connected. The medical side has. The insurance companies, they're starting to come along because they're making acquisitions. That's how you can tell how healthcare is working, when companies or what companies are buying in the healthcare sector. But also, in addition to that service, There's also other wellness services that's outside of mental health that should also be included, because these are preventative type of services that can start at the beginning of birth. And one of the things that I'd like to have California do is push to, let's start with children first as a rollout. And then one of my areas of expertise is negotiating and sitting down at the table with hospitals, medical groups, medical equipment companies, and negotiating their services, because we need to change our medical system from a for-profit system to a service system. So that's a lot of the things that I will do.
Great, thank you, Janet. We're gonna go back to Josh on this one. Should you be elected, which 2 issues will you champion, and how will you influence your colleagues in the Assembly to support each, and the governor to sign into law?
Which 2 issues? Only 2?
Currently, just 2.
Well, I would say number 1 is going to be the environmental justice issue here, and how am I going to convince my colleagues? Well, it's got to be convinced that this is a matter of life or death in this community, and I will do, everything I can to make sure that they understand, that we won't back down from this under any circumstances. This is going to be a tremendous change in leadership, from the current Assembly member right now as it relates to the fossil fuel industry. And so we have a much more progressive legislature. We have 30 members that are leaving the legislature right now. The legislature is becoming more progressive, which is very exciting. And so I don't think it's going to be as difficult as we think. The governor has already made mandates in terms of getting off the fossil fuel industry, off the fossil fuels 2035. And as a matter of fact, it's the industry itself that hasn't caught up. And so we've got to do that. The second thing that I'm really going to be championing is going to be taking on big tech. I'm a father. I have 3 young children. I'm very concerned about their privacy. I'm very concerned that we have no rights over their intellectual property, their digital footprint whatsoever. None of us do over any of the things that we do. And we've somehow given those rights away. I believe those are inalienable human rights, just like the rest of our human rights are. And so I believe that we're going to need to take on tech in the next several years.
Thank you, Josh. This one will go back to Janet. Westside Long Beach and East Carson have the highest population of Filipino constituents, but historically have had the lowest voter turnout and political engagement as in most Asian communities. What do you see as a way to substantially keep residents engaged throughout your term, and not just during election season, but throughout your term as Assembly person?
Well, going back to the two
My apologies.
Yeah.
Oops.
I was going to tie it all up.
Hope I don't ruin your mojo there.
Well, the 2 issues that I want to champion coming right out the blocks, number 1 is housing. Shelter, protection, that's number 1 for people, and number 2, healthcare. Those are my top 2. With housing, all of us are affected, whether you are a renter or whether you're a homeowner. Even if you've been in the market for a long time, we all have some kind of what I'd say stake in getting this right for California, because it's affecting our population. We're all Democrats here. It's also making our party look bad. That's just the best way that I can say it, how we're dealing with homelessness and the inflation and housing. And some of the things that I'd like to put in place immediately is an immediate freeze on purchases with LLCs, particularly with private equity. I think private equity has destroyed the middle class housing market. Also, in addition to private equity, the banking industry. The banking industry, their practices at holding inventory and how they release inventory. And then there's addressing pump and dump schemes, which is similar to what used to be done in the 80s. I'm an econ head from the 80s on that. And then healthcare, bringing back AB 1400 to the 4-4 vote. Those are the top two things that will be on my mind right out the gate.
Thank you.